Okay, so we're live. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the Evolve Expert session number 74. Um, well, welcome Martin. I'm pleased here to have Martin here. So, uh, I'd like first to 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 thank our partners, Airmeet, for making this event possible. And let's start. So I'm pleased to introduce Martin Scholz, founder of CEG Consult and a leading expert in B2B SaaS partnerships. With over 20 years of experience, Martin guides companies from growth at all costs to sustainable capital efficient growth through strategic partnerships. He helps business build and scale partner programs that drive long-term value, emphasizing that partnerships are true collaborations, not just transactions. Martin has advised brands like SEMrush, co-hosts the AR Artist Circus Partnership Track, and leads community efforts such as Partnerships Meetup, and is also in Pavilion. And welcome, Martin. Thank you for being here with us. And as always, we start with an uh, opening question. So, Martin, many companies still stick to the idea that rapid growth requires heavy investment and growth at all costs. Do you think this mindset is not only outdated but actually counterproductive in today's market, and why?
First of all, thanks for having me, and because I have a very great opening question. I think this growth at all cost was never a healthy idea, and it was never a good idea. I think it came, in my personal point of view, and there's no statistic to prove that, probably came from the idea which venture capitalists brought into a lot of startups and companies. You will not have a growth at all costs in any established company who's like in the market for 30 years. That was something which newly founded companies try to achieve, coming from this idea that the VC as a model, they say we found 10 companies, we know that 7 go bankrupt, 2 are probably surviving okayish, and only 1, this will be then the unicorn, which will pay back for all the other losses we made. So that's why they were always trying for this unicorn. And being in 3, or having been in 3 companies who try to become a unicorn, I can tell you that the hypergrowth, even though we were more on the successful side, was never healthy. And I think where this came from was also the abundance of cash in the past decade, because there were literally no interest rate to be earned from the US or the European federal banks. So people had a lot of money where they said, okay, well, how should I, where should I invest? And basically, to an extent that every idea was presented on 3 slides could get a couple of millions if presented in the right way. So this abundance of money has gone. There's alternative investment possibilities with rising interest rates. So you don't find investors who are looking at growth at a cost. They were leading, luckily, way to a more sustainable growth. But even in these times where growth at a cost was the main thing, you have find gold nugget companies who were bootstrapped, who never fall for investors, and made a much more healthy way of growth, and achieved sustainable business model. Well, a lot of these growth at all cost companies just burned the money through and went dust.
Yeah, and actually nowadays we basically don't hear more about that term, that burning cash term, right? The company said, oh, they're just burning cash, they're just growing at all costs, so just to get market. So efficiency nowadays, I think since the pandemic, right, when companies started to, and VCs and the investors at the end of the
I
day.
would say, but
So,
I would say a bit later. Actually, when I jumped into this adventure of becoming a freelance consultant about 3 years ago, that was about the tipping point. That was
mhm.
something which I didn't foresee. Don't get me wrong. It was kind of an outsider event which really played into my cards. I think one of the first things, like if I would pin it down, it was the bankruptcy of Silicon Valley Bank.
Mhm.
That was, in my book, the moment when this whole game started to shift.
Yeah, yeah. That's that's incredible, right? Because yeah, at the end of the day, we see if we think at investments and they were like burning cash with a almost with some startups and some companies, we can almost say that they were burning cash with a hope, with a just hoping that something happened for the companies to make money at the end of the day. But let's get more to partnerships, where and partnerships can drive growth. And but let's start talking about some. So, what's the most? I want to talk about misconceptions in terms of building partnerships today, and what are most common misconceptions companies have when they're building successful partnerships today, and as a whole, what you've been seeing around partnerships today that you feel that companies are going to the wrong way.
Oh, that's like five questions in one. So let me try to be very German and trying to organize that.
Great.
First and foremost, I think it's really important to start with one thing which is challenging in partnerships. We don't have well-defined terms and definitions. Always talk about synonyms and homonyms. You probably know synonyms. We're using different words for the same thing. But the real risk is in homonyms, which is a term I only learned when my daughter we went to A level in school. Homonyms describes that we use the same word but mean different things. One example would be in English, the bank. You can either sit on it or you put your money into it. All right. And in partnerships, we use terms which everybody kind of nods, but had completely different views on it. Even if you would ask, like my some of my peers, like product experts, and you would ask them define technology partnerships, you would get 5, 10 answers from 3 people, right? Um, just because we know different, even I know a couple of definitions. So when we use the term partnership, my first question is like, how do you define partnerships? There are relations which are defined as partnerships, which in my book aren't. And let me give you an example. Sometimes sponsorships are called partnerships. Somebody sponsors another company, an event or a sport team, and they call it partnership. For me, it's not. It's a very clear transactional thing. I give you money and I hope to get branding and maybe karma points whatsoever. It's not. So what is my definition of partnership? It's a mutual beneficial relation. So two companies align because I have this is my company goal, this is your company goal, and somehow it does overlap, and there's an overlap which is big enough that we have a mutual goal, and we both benefit by reaching that goal without there being a clear transaction like money against service or money against product. This is also the one of the biggest reasons why partnerships fail. Companies start partnerships without having a good understanding. Founders think, oh, let's do partnerships, and they have no idea about how to do that, which is no offense. It's just they don't know. Didn't know a lot of things, so they learn and they try. But the risk is here that they try methodologies, concepts, thought patterns from sales. And sales is transaction. It's you give me money, I give you my service or my product. And partnerships, you don't have that transaction. Which also leads to that situation that they think too much about why is it good for me, while the main question is like, why would any other company partner with myself? And it's not so important that I want to partner with this big gun or with that great system integrator or with this massive player in the software space. It's more like, what can I, especially as a startup, do to be attractive for them to be a partner? And one thing I always say, especially if you think about, or very generic, there are two major categories, very broad categories I typically come across when I talk to founders. If you talk to somebody who's more on the revenue side, they think about channel. And if you talk about with product people, you always think about API integration marketplaces. Very generic, and of course there are always exceptions. But if I talk to somebody who's thinking on or in the revenue side of business, and they are hoping that partners will magically drive revenue for them, there's one thing I always tell them: whatever you pay them, it's never enough. So whether they think, hey, we give them 10% commission for referral or 30% on reselling, and then everything magic will happen. And it's not. You need to find a way stronger value proposition why any other company should collaborate with yours.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. So, and you can see also a lot of companies that says, "Oh, this is a channel partner department or whatever." When they build a channel partner uh, 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 department, let's call it this way, uh, at the end of when you start talking and digging in, you see that it's it's like they're almost outsourcing their sales team to to other people, so to other companies, right? And yes, I understand that the point that having partners to bring you clients and all of that, but uh, yes, at the end of the day, I am totally uh, in line with you. So you need to build something together. You need to find why both our companies are working together. So what are you going to build? Either you're going to build something together, either you're going to team up to to provide a better service or a better product to your client. If you have a client that is if you have a common client or a common ICP at the end of the day. And on the other side, when you have uh, uh, integration partners and all of that, a lot of companies just see uh, money on the table also. So they will probably not see like a lot of sales, but they always are looking for money. So what will that bring to me? What will that bring to me on both sides? And it's exactly like you said. So it's not a partnership. it's a a normal transaction or almost sale. And yes, and we also have some uh, uh, a lot of companies, a lot of partner teams that have the sales partner guy. So I always like in my opinion, this is one of the stranger parts of that because I always fought against that because say if it's sales, it's not a partnership guy. So either you need to what's your goal? So like you said before, so or you're building partnerships or you're selling or you're like selling a sponsorship package or something like that. And it's okay, but it just needs to be clear, right?
I think it's setting expectations and be clear about that is very helpful. I saw the comment from Vinny here about transactional behaviors and relationships versus real partnerships.
Hmm.
I think when I started my career in SaaS, I had a couple of calls with the US guys, and they always talk big and had all these rhetoric visionary things. And I always call that in German we have said Wolkenschloss, so castle in the sky. But when you literally, then I learned to ask a simple question. I said, "Sorry, I'm German. I'm not a native speaker. Can you just explain me who pays whom for what?" And all of a sudden, everything, all these wonderful visions kind of imploded, and they say, "Oh, hey, we thought you would sell my software." I said, "Awesome! I thought you would sell my software to your clients." And then, we really got cut to the chase and came to that point, like, okay, what's actually the base of it? And there's nothing wrong in finding a right partner who is incentivized to position yourself or your product. I mean, at Uber, we had more than 50% from partner sales, like directly partner selling our shit, sending us the money, and we were literally, we're not sitting back and collecting the money because there's a lot of work to do to enable the partner to be successful. But it was a very, very, very unique use case. Basically, what we did is, as at Uber, we had that is a solution which helps anybody with a physical location, think restaurants, coffee shops, barber shops, but even more important, plumbers or carpenters who are real life workers, but you don't even have a shop where you could just walk in. So how do they connect with customers? So if I need a plumber, I probably pull out Google and look for plumbers near me. and then they
mm,
need to be there. That's the modern version of the yellow book. If you're old like me or Vinny or maybe Henrik, sorry, hopefully I'm not offending you guys. We all know the times when we had this big yellow books sitting somewhere, and we went through the yellow book looking for somebody.
mhm,
Um, Uber services clients like McDonald's, right, or Starbucks, these massive chains. But even if you're an independent owner, you have to, you need to keep your data up to date, and you need it on Google Maps and Apple Maps and Facebook pages and Insta, whatever, depending what's and some other directories. Anyway, I'm talking so much about it. We had a very distinguished go-to-market. We said anybody who has 50 or more locations, like any chain, we would service and sell direct because we were paid by location. Any independent shop owner, that wouldn't work for us. The CLTV to CAC ratio, customer lifetime value, customer acquisition cost, was way too high for us. So we looked for strategic partners who were servicing these kind of customers already with complementary solutions, who then were happy to cross and upsell us because they had all of the margin problems. So we worked with the yellow page companies who had still the people on the ground going through the small towns. We also worked with big hosting companies like Ionos One-on-One in Germany and
mhm,
Europe, who were selling websites to small business owners and wanted to cross-sell this thing. So what was their motivation? They wanted to up and cross-sell to increase the basket size of their consumers or customers to support their customer lifetime, customer acquisition and customer retention costs and support costs.
mhm,
So there was a very strong point why they would do that. But that is very rare. To find someone else selling your stuff is typically, if anything, it works. It would be somebody who wants to sell services around your product, consultancy, implementation work, adoption work, training, whatever. If you don't find those folks, they will not sell it. But even then, they predominantly are in the world of selling their services. Like me, I'm in the world of selling my consultancy business. Yes, I might bring a PRM partner portal software to a client, but it's not my permission. I'm not going around looking for clients who I can sell this partner portal to. I am
mhm,
trying to win partners or clients, and if there is a mutual fit, I may introduce,
mhm,
which is then a referral. It's not even a sell. I refer them, but I don't refer them for the money. I refer them because it helps my client, it helps my reputation. And yes, I am happy to take the referral fee. Nobody says no to free money, but that's not my motivation. Because if I
mhm,
would recommend this portal to random clients of mine where it does not a fit, it hurts my reputation, which is the most valuable thing I have in my own, in my company, is my personal reputation. It hurts my reputation both with the provider as well as my client. It fills the pipeline of the provider with shit leads, which will not buy in the end. So it's a lose situation. And
mhm,
CROs specifically believe, oh, we just pay them 15% and they will bring me 10 more clients. No, I will not. I'm happily taking 15% instead of 10, but I will not ask one client more of mine where I don't think that's a fit. And that's one of these transactional thoughts. If I just pay more money, they will work harder. Like in
mhm,
sales, if I offer a spiff to my AEs, they will work harder. I'm always concerned why people only work if they get another $100 in front of their face. But you don't pay developers by code submitted, or you don't pay your accountant by number of bookings made, right?
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, anyway, so be aware to find some other company who is intrinsically motivated to sell your product is rare and not standard.
Mhm,
And if you find those people who really do it for the money, who really are, that's basically like an external sales rep, which is
mhm.
honestly typically a risk, because these people will probably oversell and bring you clients which your customer success team will hate.
Yeah, and getting to the that referral part, I've said it sometimes, but it fits here. We did when I was leading partnerships with e-commerce agencies. We did a research with the agencies to understand what were their most their motivation to be with us, and 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 the referral fee was there. So we thought, and everyone thought, that the referral fee was the number one motivation for them to work with us. At the end of the day, the referral fee was like third or fourth most. motivator for them to be with us. They said it's 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 too it's it's not too much, so it doesn't make sense for us for this to be the driver for being with you guys. We have other things, so support and everything else, because this will help us to be more scalable, and this will help us to be more fast with our clients. We can deliver more projects, and we can start new projects, and we can drive in more partners, more clients for us using your technology. And until the money, the referral fee makes a big uh, bucket of money, it will take time. So until then, that's not a big deal for us. And then we could see that, oh, okay, so we were thinking, the company was thinking about, so let's raise the referral fees. And then after that, so oh, we can use like the same money, but we can have more supporting for the partners. We can help them in a lot of other ways that will help us be more, that will help them be more efficient, and will help us at the end of the day. So really working on a more uh, we were trying to also to exclude a bit the transactional part, and to be more, and to become more relational with them, so we can also bring them more together with us. And yes, that's no, I agree totally with what you said and explained. And now I would like to ask you two things. I will make two questions in one, because one question that I have here is, how can marketing measure the real value generated by strategic partnerships? And I will connect with that, uh, well, if it's possible, if it's simple, and if it's that, if there's only one way. I don't believe so. I believe it will depend, as you said, the type of partnership and what you're building. Yes, but I will let my next question to another, because it goes in different ways.
All right. You probably saw me cringe when you said strategic partnership. That's one of my most hated terms.
Yeah.
Strategic partnership is yet another term which is being used way too much, kind of inflationary. Hardly any. What is my definition of strategic partnership? Strategic partnerships means for me, having this partnership or not has an impact on your company's P&L. So if you lose that partner, your performance is significantly visibly worse. Only a few partners are having such an impact for most companies within the partnerships. Even if they have, like we had in Uber and in such ways, we had strategic partners which had a significant impact on our total ARR. But guess what? They were big guns. So they were strategic for us, but we were not strategic for them. So even, that's why I don't like that term, because it kind of indicates stuff which usually doesn't happen. Having said that, how do you measure the impact of partnerships? That's a damn good question. It depends. I have to say I'm a son of a mathematician. So my dad has a degree in mathematics, especially in statistics. I am DNA-wise biased to be a numbers guy. I started my career in controlling. So I should be the guy who's on the forefront when talking about data-driven. But actually, I'm not. The reason for that is that I really understand data. If you really understand data, you understand that the data you're looking at is not capable to reflect the reality. Let me give you an example. Let's say I am a partner of Evolve, right? And you talk to somebody in my network, and he reaches out to me on WhatsApp, says, "Hey, Martin, I'm talking to Gustavo about this Evolve membership. Does it make sense? Would you recommend it?" And all I'm doing on the WhatsApp is doing the thumb up or thumb down icon on this message. You got a new member. You don't have a new member. No CRM in the world would track this interaction.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the impact of an ecosystem. That's the impact of partnerships. But let me be not that philosophical. Let me give me a real life example. Let's assume you do a partner webinar. So your company is hosting a webinar together with a partner. and you generate leads from that, but because that's the goal, right? You invite prospects, the partner invites prospects, you generate new prospects from that. How do you track that in a CRM? Most CRMs have one lead source. Is that marketing because they hosted the webinar, or was it partner because it was a partner webinar? And most companies track only one source, which is stupid. And it's not worse that you track only once if that's a limitation, but then at the end of the year, they make very, very bold budget decisions about who gets money if you spend more money on marketing webinars or if you spend more money on the partner team, based on that single data set saying, oh, we got so many leads from partners versus so many leads from partnerships. And any moment, any second, the partner guy argues with the sales or the marketing guy whether this lead was, or this opportunity or this deal was partner source or marketing source, whatever, is a waste of money, because at the time they spend any second they spend on discussing this internally is not a second they can win the next deal. They can hunt the next prospect, do what they actually paid for. So what I'm talking so much about is very close to my heart, is we must not be data driven when it makes us blind. We need to be always aware of that we can't capture all the data. Another example, think about integrations. I am a startup, I'm a SaaS startup, I have a fancy new software, it works well in the accounting, and to increase the value, it needs to be integrated in the workflow of the user. So the user's using an accounting software before, and maybe travel expense software on the other side, and my kind of solution fits neatly into it. So I convinced the team to build an integration. So we have an integration in these other two tools, and you can't immediately happen. The value of your product, the impact of your product was just increased because a customer benefits from this seamless flow. You may win 2 more deals because of that, who say, oh yeah, 100 euros too much. Oh, it's integrated. Oh, I save time because that flows naturally. Oh yeah, then it makes sense for me. I buy it. You can't track that. So long answer. If you talk about channel partnerships, if you talk about anything which generates leads, make sure that you capture those leads and look at these number of partner qualified leads and measure the quality of the leads. That's a very simple way to really help the RevOps guy to make the reports. Partner qualified leads are always the best. They convert with a higher probability. They convert faster, shorter sales cycle. Often you even see a better deal size. So they should outperform on the quality metrics, outbound or inbound leads. But for other partnerships, it's way harder to track because the impact is not always easily measurable in your freaking CRM system. Sometimes we just need to talk to people and get a gut feeling whether or not this partnership did influence their purchase. We could look for integrations. Are they actually used? Are our consumers or customers actually using the integration we built with that other solution? Or are we like Box.com in the US, who said they had 1,650 integrations? And I asked the guy, okay, how many of them are active? And then he shut up and he became very silent because I asked the German question, which blow up his American, oh, we have so many, we are so big, but it wasn't of any use, right? So again, summing it up, there's no easy way. You need to understand what is your expectation, why you did the partnership, and then make sure that your CRM or your RevOps is capable to track that. And always keep in mind that you may not be able, despite all the AI and all this fancy technology, to capture everything. So please keep your common sense.
Excellent. Actually, you have answered the other question I was going to ask. But let's go to something that you say, and I think it's really interesting, and I think that affects more on the in terms of partnerships. So it's the capital efficient growth. So what is it? I would like you to explain what is it and how it works in the daily operations of a partnership company, or in the daily operations of a company.
Yeah, very good questions. In my career, I ran around and say we need partnerships, 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 and I wasn't even really good at explaining the why, because I was basically running around explaining the tool, like, hey, use a hammer, use a hammer, use a hammer, and without explaining what it can actually do. And when I thought about it quite a bit, I thought like the one thing which partnerships achieve is help companies to achieve capital efficient, sustainable growth. What does it mean? It breaks down to 4 dimensions predominantly. First of all, various partnerships can help to increase the customer lifetime value. Thinking about in a SaaS world, at least, your main KPI typically is customer lifetime value in relation to your customer acquisition cost, which is actually stupid because we are missing out completely on the customer retention cost or the cost to service or the cost to keep. So if I say anything I earn with that particular client is the customer lifetime value, and anything I have to pay to win and maintain this client, which is customer acquisition cost to win and customer retention cost to keep the client, that is what needs to define profitability. So there are customers who partnerships who increase the customer lifetime value, and it takes too long to describe, what kind of partnership that could be. It really depends on what is your current go-to market. How do you sell? Who do you sell to? What is your ICP? What is your average deal size? How technical complex is your product? Do you need implementation? Do you need human adoption? So there are partnerships who predominantly don't come into the pre-sales, but in the post-sales side of things. They help you to implement the solution. Sometimes you don't need a technical implementation, but you need a human adoption, human implementation, I call it. Basically, you need to train people to use it. You can, you can buy a nice tool to run your company on OKRs, objective and key results. But if you do not train your leadership team and basically whole org how this methodology works, you have a piece of software which is not used and will be canceled. So there are a couple of things which basically pull into the retention side of things. They make sure the customer stay longer. There are other things where partners can help in the sales cycle to close bigger deals immediately because they know the client. They can discover better and more efficiently in which areas your solution can drive impact. A lot of partnerships have an impact on customer acquisition cost. One step back to the CLTV. If you build meaningful integrations which make your system more sticky, more fluent, more seamless and to operate, it will be much harder for your client to switch it over or to jump to the competitor. So that also would pay into your retention play. On the customer acquisition side, if you have a meaningful integration, that means it increases the value for your software. So your sales rep has an easier close because you can say, are you integrated in Salesforce? Yes, we are. Awesome. That makes sense, right? Or you will, of course, have referral partners or affiliate partners if you're in a PLG motion, or you even have resellers, which due to the situation that they know the client already, they have a trusted relation, can qualify better, disqualify better, close faster. Everything, you don't have to pay for the lead. They bring the lead. Maybe you don't even have to pay your own sales rep because they even close the deal. So even you pay them some commission or some partner discount, that's usually way less than what your own organization would need to generate to close that deal. So customer acquisition costs are way lower. If you have partners who do post-sales help, your customer retention costs are lower. If you have implementation partners who do the implementation, you save costs because you to create or build or create or grow your own professional services team. So customer acquisition costs, customer lifetime value very clearly. And again, sorry for talking so much. There are so many various ways to impact that. The other 2 dimensions, very briefly, speed to market and risk mitigation. The way to explain it, if you enter a new market, whether that's geographically, let's say I want to go to Denmark as a German company, or to South Africa, or wherever, right? For me, or if I go to a different customer segment or a different vertical, like say public sector, right? It's a little bit like me coming to Cape Town. The first time I could just wander around the city and try to explore it myself. Maybe not the smartest idea, maybe not find the good places, maybe even, even run in the wrong areas. I could try to get a travel guide and hope that the secret tip is still secret, probably not. Or I could, chat to my fellow, which is what I did, or ping Henrik and say, hey, Henrik, what are the places you'd recommend me? And Henrik would say, oh, what are you interested, Martin? Get to know me a bit and say, hey, Martin, I understand you're not the museum and art guy. Forget about all these museums, but this one you should vision because that's top notch. And oh yeah, you based on your restaurant preferences, go there or don't go there. Basically, a partner who knows that market will be help you be much faster successful and find the right things and get customers in that market. And also, it's less risky than hiring like this country manager and hoping that this lady or this gentleman would magically do all the market development for you. So customer lifetime value, customer acquisition cost, customer lifetime increase, customer acquisition cost reduce, speed increase, risk reduce.
Yeah, and that at the end of the day is very clear to be seen on at a company P&L, right? So uh, that for the leadership, it's something that is good for them. So to understand how this dynamic works and to see that results in the P&L, right?
Yeah, it's you see that, but it's hard sometimes to really clearly identify that or isolate this and say, oh, this customer acquisition cost went down, or this customer lifetime value goes up because of the partnerships. Think about customer lifetime value. Typically, let's say you have an average lifetime of 4 years, and then partners who use this integration are staying an average 5 years. So you would need to wait at least 6-7 years to have a statistically reliable set of data that you could look after, right? Which is, by the way, funny. If you have a background in controlling and statistics, you wonder how a startup who's 3 years old can come up with a customer lifetime value, because all they do is doing the crystal globe and say, oh, we have 100 customers who have not canceled, we hope they stay 5 more years, but nobody knows.
Great. So we're starting to have our community members to join. So Adriana, please, the stage is yours.
Hi, sorry. Martin, great talk. I think it's very good to see this sorry, senior view regarding partnerships and the way you bring it to companies. And what I find when I'm trying to do that is um, maybe it's a local thing, but I find that companies are not necessarily mature enough to hear or to do what needs to be done. And so, how do you identify that stage of maturity within a company? Because I feel like partnerships is something that everybody wants to do. And like you said before, people try to do it their own way and they don't know what they're doing, they don't know why they're doing it. But at the same time, it takes, some sort of a leap for them to like value it and structure in a proper way.
Sure. If you don't mind, Adrian, I would like to incorporate the two questions which come on the Q&A. So Carlos asked, how many dimensions are there on partnerships? So the way I look at partnerships is predominantly on two axes. One is where in the customer lifetime cycle they would probably come to or would have to deliver impact. So if you think about it, I personally prefer the bow tie model from the Winning by Design guys, who have on the left side the flip acquisition funnel, which starts with a fairness and goes down then to commit, so basically deal closed, but then continues on the right hand side with onboarding, adoption, expansion, retention, expansion. So that is one dimension. The other dimension I look at is like, what is the business of the partner? Are they a product company or are they a service company? And based on that, I have a better understanding on what is the benefit for them and how do we benefit. So bringing these two together helps me to find the right partnership model or is a good indicator to help me to understand how they would impact me. To come to very specifically to your question, Ariana, my personal view is that there's an order of operation. Product market fit comes first. You figure out how does your product actually fit to the market? Is there a fit? People, do they need it? Then you find the go-to-market fit, which I describe, or typically I would describe as, you found out a way how you put your product to the market in a scalable, repeatable way that people other than your mom and your best friend's buddy would buy it, and you know how to get it. You know how to sell it, to which ICP, and what is the obstacles and what are the objections. If you have the go-to-market fit, then now following my idea of, or my concept of partnerships is the evolution of your current go-to-market. You have to figure out your go-to-market version 0.9 at least, and then if you have an idea on how to sell, who to sell to, and why, you can find partners to help you to do that more efficiently. So unless the company has already found go-to-market fit, they don't have to start with partner market fit. If you talk in VC terms, I typically look at clients which are about to close Series A or just have
Hmm.
closed Series A. That's just the earliest. There are always exceptions if you are a very technical company which is relying on like some middleware where you need technical integrations to even make your product work. Then you start earlier, but that would be the typical point of view where I would start. Um, if you have found your product market fit, and if you feel like where are the things which need or could benefit from in more efficient way.
Yeah,
Does that
I
answer the
agree.
question?
Sure. Yeah, I totally agree. I think the companies don't spend enough time thinking, how is their product fit for the partners? How can you create this win-win relationship? They only sometimes want to do like top down their sales proposition for everything, but they need to think, how does that help the ecosystem and the partners in a way that I win and they win? So it's pretty cool. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Martin. So now we have Paulo Felix. So, Paulo, please.
Hi, Martin.
Hi,
Morning.
Paul.
So, you told a few things that I believe so much, like the partners be a partnership relationship. In fact, both partners have to share at least a part of their goals to make money together. So it's I think it's very important, and I challenge the view of putting commission as a stimulus to get partners engaged and onboarded. But my question to you is based on your experience and considering that the company starting to design a partnership program or something, would it be wise to use partnerships as the starting point for instance for an internationalization process? Have you had this experience and how it was? So if you could tell me a little bit about it.
Sure. Starting your internationalization with starting the partnerships is probably going to fail. Because you're trying to solve two challenges at once. Um, when I said about partnerships, being a great way to reduce risk for going into a market, that is kind of, and I wasn't clear about that, is ideally you would have a proven partnership model and you have found the partner market fit in your home local country or the economy you service directly. And then, you use that because then the way I would do it is trying, you try to figure out how can we collaborate with partner, how are our processes, who's our IPP look like, our idle partner profile. And then, if you have that, then you have a very clear view how you go to an international market. If you don't have that, I think that don't work because you would try to, again, quadruple the problem or the challenge by trying to solve two things which are challenging in itself.
Great.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you, Paulo. And now we have Alexis. So, Alexis also from Germany, born,
Hi,
born,
Martin.
right? Yes.
Exactly. Old capital speaking here. Saying hi to Berlin. Thank you for your insights. I think the the whole topic of partnerships is totally underrated because it can leverage so much into the right direction towards revenue growth. But on the other hand, I've been partner manager, so as business developer and head of sales, I kind of had this head on my head as well. So I understood quite fast that a lot of people wanted a partnership with the company that I used to work with, but asking three questions and I knew whether I wanted to invest more time into talking to these people or not. So, but obviously you're far beyond that first step. So what I would like to do, what I would like to know is when a retailer is looking for partnerships um, with other retailers, what kind of structure do they need to offer to the table so that it is a secure environment and that they talk to each other and with each other and it's still being all legal and not the mafia Kartellamt coming over and saying, "Hey, sorry, you're not allowed to talk about prices"?
Oh wait, there's so many questions in one. So the way you mentioned, you asked 3 questions. I asked 4 questions. We developed the model of 4 C's for partner disqualification. So let me take a step back. The success in partnership starts with finding and recruiting the right partners. There's a very strong rule which is very different from sales: quality over quantity. I'd rather have 2 or 3 partners who perform than signing 100, which I don't even have capacity to get them onboarded, because that's a problem with partnerships. If you sign the contract, the real work starts, because the contract just says, let's do something together. So actually you need to work with them to do something together, that something happens. You need to enable them to make them excited about that they signed this partner contract, that they are starting to do what you want them to do, and you do what you promise them to do, because it's, keep in mind, it's not transactional, it's a give and take. So we started in Uber, we come to 3 questions. We looked at client, do our customer base, first see customers. Is the partner servicing a relevant enough number of my customer group or my ICP? Either the ICP I have or an ICP I don't know, decided not to serve myself, but I know they can serve for me. Number 2, are they credible to talk about my product? Is the customer expecting, or the potential mutual customer expecting, my partner to talk about my solution? And I could tell war stories about like how that could terribly fail.
Quick
So
question.
Sure.
Quick question to that. Whose responsibility is it to offer that credibility? I mean, the product has to be super easy to be explained, obviously. No? Like
No.
that. So then
There could be, think about Salesforce. Salesforce is a fucking complex software product, but it is put to market by expert partners who know more about this software than probably the Salesforce employee who joined 6 weeks ago. Sorry, that's just to jump into that, and it's a very good question. It's not that your product needs to be easy. The person who's talking about your product needs to be credible to talk about it, and that's his or her responsibility, that they bring a certain credibility with them. Of course, you need to enable them. You need to make sure that they but then let me give you an example. So a real life example of credibility. So Uber location marketing software beneficial for especially restaurants, because if you look for a restaurant, you pull out Google Maps, you want to make sure that you can check whether they have vegan options. My daughter's vegan. Okay, do they have vegan options? I need the menu. Do they have open on Monday? One big group in Germany, Metro, cash and carry group, huge, basically pan-European. Their core ICP are independent restaurant owners who purchase all the ingredients from Metro Group and then produce pizza, pasta, steaks, whatever. They were trying to help these non-digital people to digitize. So they offered, with a think tank, a free website especially for restaurants, and they also wanted to offer the Google Maps or location marketing thingy. And they asked their field sales, the 4,000 or 6,000 field sales who go from restaurant to restaurant. And then this Metro field sales guy goes into the pizzeria in Heidelberg, talks to Luigi and says, "Hey, Luigi, here's your cucumber orders. And by the way, beer is on sale, this brand. And by the way, we have this digital marketing offering for you." And you know what Luigi said? "Give me the damn cucumbers and get out of my store." They literally had occasions where they slapped their faces, because they did not expect the guy that talked usually about cucumbers, beer, and Coca-Cola prices all of a sudden about digital marketing experience. That was not expected. Right? So that's credibility. If I go to my local bakery store and this guy would try to sell me toner cartridges just because I'm ICP for the toner cartridges, I would not want my baker to talk with me about toner cartridges and get dirty fingers when he touches my bread rolls. Sorry, we Germans are very specific about our breads, right? You guys probably have heard about that cliche. So that's credibility. Sorry, I'm talking so much. Also, customer base, credibility. Third one, capability. Can they do what you want them to do? If you just want them to give you a tip or give you the name, okay, everybody can send an email. But if you want them to sell, you then make sure that they know how to position your product, that they understand your value proposition, that they have your battle card for the competition. If you do not enable them to do what you want them to do, they can't do what you want them to do. Right? Sometimes it's technical. We had situations where we had a potential great partner who just couldn't charge a recurring fee to the clients because they didn't have a system for charging recurring subscription fees. And we worked with the 3. And then we discovered that we had clients who were partners who scored very well on our internal scorecard, but never performed. And we had others who didn't score that well on 1 or 2 of them, but became top partners within a very short time. And we said, fuck, what am I missing? Sorry. And we thought there's the fourth C, which is the most important, commitment. And the commitment is the one you cannot analyze. You just can get a feel for. How much do they are ready to pay for that? Or not pay, but like how committed are they into that partnership? Do they want you as much as you want them, right? And that's different story for different expert session probably.
Martin,
But
thank you
that's the
so much. Thank you so much for this overview. I quickly sum it up. I wrote it down. It's customers. Do you have the same customer base? Credibility. So are the other people, the partners, credible to sell? To be a partner, to be seen with you, to have a halo effect on your brand as well. Then capacity, like are they actually able to deliver what they are supposed to deliver? And then commitment. And all these 4 C's remind me a lot to what community building is as well. Because if you have a community of like equal partners, this is also the same. They're more active people, and you're being a community because you're having the same goal, the same interest, or at least huge amount of overlapping interests. Or
I wouldn't mix community and I probably would call that ecosystem.
Okay.
Community is for me a combination of people. Anything else is a combination of companies. And to your point, so it's capability, not capacity. Capability, we call it, but that's, it's basically very similar. Back to the very first question, how you make sure that the reseller is a good partner and you don't are getting stressed with the cartel. Number one, I don't know any country in the world where you could legally talk with your reseller about the end price. So normally you just negotiate the wholesale price and you give a recommended retail price, and then I hope they stick to it. But using an example, let's imagine you want to sell your fancy eco vegan sport shoes, and you go to the gas stations. I mean, that wouldn't be a match, right? So there wasn't be credibility, and they probably don't have the capability because no one in the gas station could make any meaningful consultative sell on an eco shoe, which probably is high price. I made that up, but just to be there very, very, very explicit about that. And again, the reseller model, you decide, you agree on resale price, on wholesale prices. You give a recommended retail price. If it's a scalable product, they better stick to it, because otherwise they go to another reseller who sticks to the recommendation. If it's more high price software piece where your own team would give big discounts, where if the deal is big enough, then you have the rule, but then every partner could get back to you, come back to me and say, hey, Martin, we have this opportunity with our list price or your wholesale price. We never get this deal done. Can I get a better price from you so I can live from something? And then we talk again about partnerships. In a good partnership, you try to find a mutual deal. You also agree to, at one point, to say, this condition is not worth it. We need to walk away from these deals.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, all good. Thank you so much for the examples and the explanations.
Great. Thank you, Alexis. So yes, Hendrix, please, and yeah, we have to sum up in a bit. So, but Hendrik, please.
Martin, thank you very much for sharing a lot of your thoughts today. I wish we could share some of these thoughts widely, because it felt like I was just nodding along. You mentioned right at the beginning of your conversation that blitzscaling, hypergrowth was VC funded, which I agree. So my question to you is, how much damage did blitzscaling or hypergrowth do to the partnership sector?
None, because in my opinion, none. Because when I was talking to somebody who was in growth at all stages, they didn't even think about partnerships. Because the thing with partnerships is it takes a bit of time. and they didn't have the time because the investor wanted to see the results the next day. And I was like, hey, let's build a reseller program or referral program. You will see the outcome in 18 months. He said, no, I need it next quarter. I need to I hit the revenue next quarter. So I have enough money. So I will spend just more money and burn that on Google Ads, and I hire 10 AEs and 15 SDRs, and I will fire 80% of them if they don't perform. It was just not a natural fit. And luckily, the companies I described, while we were under hypergrowth, we already did it the German efficient way. So I remember the very first company, Search Metrics, when we finally looked for a Series B, which was 10 million, which today is not even a seed funding anymore. They said, the American investors were totally shocked, literally shocked how far we got with how little. So we got to nearly 10 million in ARR with about 1.5 million funding. They knew a world where they paid 10 million in funding to get to 1.5 million in ARR. So long short, luckily enough for my career, I was in companies who always looked on the efficient growth path and were never completely fall into the trap of hyper growth, burn the cash, hire 20 people, fire 19 the next day.
Yes, that is sadly the state. And I must say, your answer for me was not what I expected. But for me, as I say, I really enjoyed your conversation thus far. So thanks a lot for sharing a lot of your knowledge and thoughts.
Welcome.
Thank you, Hendrik. Vinny.
Hey guys, Martin, thank you. I echo Hendrik's statement. It's been wonderful. As a non-native English speaker, you've clarified a lot of things here. One, that we've bastardized the English language, something terrible, and the language around partnerships and commerce in general, from my perspective, is really poorly put together. But to kind of carry on from where you were, in the age of AI and acceleration and less time, more haste, this becomes more challenging. How does the partner model evolve in a more progressive way as we move more into an agentic world?
Yeah, I don't believe we move into an agentic world. Maybe because I'm old and I just want to believe that my world is not dying.
Yeah.
Or let me be more precise. I absolutely, I have to say that, and I'm sorry, I'm out of time. I am the guy who prefers a kiosk about a human. If I can order at McDonald's in a kiosk and versus on the bar, I go to the kiosk. If I can do a self check-in on the airport, I always do that. If I can do self luggage, I do self luggage. The less I have to wait in lines with other people, the better for me. Having said that, and I do see a huge benefit for, like, if I have a problem with my internet and I call my vendor and they are never doing good service and they use AI to improve that, awesome. It helps everyone. But will the AI help to generate leads? Will it help to close business deals? No, the fuck no, because we are, and I can only, Hendrik made a very statement in the beginning, in the warm up, about personal touch, human interactions. I look at all these shenanigans on LinkedIn pushing here's the magic AI lead magnet I built by combining Clay and this and this and this, and you build the script and then you automatically generate 5,000 leads in 2 seconds. All they do is erode trust. All they do is enforcing myself to find AI defense. That's why the reason why Apple introduced cold calling blocking, because it just scaled too much. I sit there and I just wait and smile, because that means that inbound and outbound are even killed faster than you can say agentic, because it all will push back to, what do you do if you can't trust a personalized email anymore? What do you do if you get annoyed from people calling you don't know? You ask your community. You ask the Evolve community, you ask the Pavilion community, you ask your friends, your business network, people you trust, and say, hey, what should I do? This is ecosystem. This is partnerships. So all this agentic BS plays into my hands of, you will survive as a company, I believe, only by looking what is needed for any business relation is trust. And that is something you can earn very easily, or much better, not easily, much better with partners, an ecosystem, than ruining the trust by agentic, false, hyper pseudo personalized emails where no human being ever read what the AI personalized on me. And then basically start from not from a 0 but from a -10, even if I'm generally open to buy your product, you as a sales rep, if you then start talking to me, you need to come out of this -10 AI generated mistrust situation.
Amazing.
But
Thank
that's a very personal view, 100% biased by my hope that we will not run into a Terminator or Blade Runner world.
Yeah, I like there's parts that I definitely agree with. I think the SaaS world is being forced into this agentic methodology, and they're being asked to remove cost all the time, and cost equals people, at least in the poor execution of the language. So I think the model varies in two certain areas. One, we've talked about US and EU differences. The inside sales role is no longer as necessary. People are starting to trust and trust the self-serve model, which I think is a danger. As you said, trust is gone. The switching between services then becomes huge, and churn becomes absolutely crazy. But I'm going to be watching it closely. I think everything you say around the human touch is really interesting. I spoke with Kristen Wiley yesterday over in California. She runs Stratosphere. It's an influencer platform, so they can have over 1,000 influencers working for an SMB posting about a product within 1 hour of setup. Incredible process. But at the heart of it all is this kind of matching process where you go as an influencer or a creator, and you want to be part of this network or this community, or whatever you want to term it. They use the word community commerce. In order to do it, you have to go through this fairly rigorous process of onboarding. There's a lot of like self-serve in it, but the final part of it is human intervention. No one is on the platform without having gone through this human vetting process, which I think is really interesting. But at the end of it all, they still have over 300 data points on each individual creator going in there, and they've got this matchmaking service to say, well, I know Martin's values are this and this, and this SaaS company's coming in, and they need someone with these values. That's why we feel they're going to be a good fit. So I think the value fit to objective matching is really interesting as well, just the way that they've gone about it. But something to watch. Stratosphere, it's called.
I know we are over time, but let me come back to one point you said, Vinny. And I want to be precise, not to come up with a grumpy old white man, which I am, by the way, but not on that point. I think there's a huge power in using AI to do research, data processing, matching, etc. What I absolutely don't see is this agentic word. For me, agentic, and that's another definition. I assume agentic means customer facing or consumer facing. And maybe that was a misunderstanding on my end. What I'm trying to say here is that, where I really lost it was when I saw on LinkedIn people bragging about AI generated UCG. You are in e-commerce, you know what user generated content means.
Yeah.
I mean, agentic or AI generated UCG, that can't work because it's user generated. It's either user generated or agentic or AI generated. You can't have AI generated user generated content. If you do that, I mean, technically you can, but it's not. Then you lost again the true the trust. And sorry.
We did speak about that, because the word authentic is thrown into that as well. Authentic UGC by AI bots. It's a contradiction in itself.
It can't work. And the reason why user-generated content worked in the first place was because real humans who were not paid for it made an honest decision, or a statement where I, as somebody who identified myself comparable to that person making that statement, trusting this person, that it's a good advice I can follow. Even with the influencer, that even eroded. I mean, a lot of influencers made a lot of money where I hardly, challenge. And I mean, I have a teenage daughter. I said that before. She's influenced by these people, and then if she matures a bit more, then she will realize: is this person even credible to talk about what they claim to talk about, and is it even authentic? Anyway, we are way over time. So I shut up on that stage, but I wanted to make that point, right? I guess there's a lot of power in AI to help us to not spend and waste time on a high time, low value task, but please not in the human interaction.
Amazing. Thank you, Martin. What part of Berlin are you in?
I'm right outside of Berlin right now, but normally I'm living in the southeast, which is called Soest.
Oh, beautiful. I worked with eBay over in Potsdam for quite a while. Nice.
Okay, that's basically mirrored from Potsdam on the other side, on the east.
Great. So, well, thank you, Vinny. really great that you joined and participated here with us again. And now let's wrap up. We have we have passed our 1 hour. So first, I'd like to thank Martin and thank everyone that's here, that joined, that participated. It was a really, really, really nice and interesting conversation around partnership, growth, and business development. We can say that. And so, thank you, Martin. And how people can find you, well, through our community, but also where people can find you, where people can get in touch with you.
I just shared my LinkedIn once more in the general chat. Feel free to reach out and do me a favor, because I didn't see anybody who's may potentially drop a note. If you can't, because you're like me not paying for LinkedIn, I probably will reach back to you and ask, where do you find me? Because I don't accept LinkedIn connections unless I do have a real feeling that I met the person. Don't be offended if I don't recall your name. Then just politely remind me that you were in the session. Other than that, of course, we are on WhatsApp. Drop me a message and visit Berlin, beautiful city, but don't come in November.
Yeah, so sunny Berlin, right? Thank you, everyone. Very nice to see you all here, and thank you, Martin. Bye bye, Martin. We'll catch up here offline. So bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.